at 7 o'clock.
That's what my phone says, so. Please rise.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Lord, let us come together as a council, make wise and informed decisions for the betterment of the borough. Let us attempt to set our biased opinions aside and make good decisions. We just need to pray. There was an executive session held on August 22nd for personnel. It may involve litigation. Minutes from the August 12th meeting were just given to everybody. I don't know if everybody's had time to review them or not.
What happens if, ready to ask the question? What happens if we approve them and then we find something later?
They can be amended.
We'd have to come back and amend them.
But it's legal to do. I'll make a motion to approve them, then I scanned them, they look all right.
Second.
Yes, we should ask that question now. Sorry.
Any discussion on the minutes?
The only question I would have is for the solicitor. Since I did type them, do I have to abstain?
No.
No. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Should we tell everybody that's Brian on the phone?
All right.
So they know it.
Brian Cole's on the phone. He was unable to be here tonight. So he's calling in. No other questions on the minutes from August 12th? Roll call. Joy Williams.
Yes.
George Jones. Brian Cole.
Aye.
David Preston.
Aye.
Deanna Watkins.
Aye.
And myself. Aye. Thank you, Mr. Koval. If you do these again, can you try to get them to us earlier so we can review them over the weekend prior to the meeting, please?
Yeah, I don't plan on doing them again. Hopefully
Okay.
we have a secretary that can do them. It was very time consuming and I had to edit them several times. And unfortunately, I left town, so I was unable to get them sent out. I actually went to Solicitor Brand's office on Friday afternoon and asked her to make copies because I didn't want to print everything. I didn't have anyone's address to mail them, so that's my fault. If I did ever do it again, I'd do better, but I did the best I could.
Thank you, Brian.
Is there somebody doing that tonight?
I know it's not on the agenda, but I need someone to volunteer for the minutes so that we have a record for next month.
Deanna.
I will do that. Do you mind if I take from Mr. Williams' audio?
That should be sufficient.
Okay.
Bills. Mr. Preston or Ms. Williams, if you want to address how we handled some of those.
Didn't do anything with bills. I didn't.
Nothing. So,
The only thing we did was payroll.
so we paid our employees, what, just the average 40 hours or what they normally got?
We actually paid them the exact same net that they received period before that because they all worked the same number of hours. We did not run a payroll program so that withholdings haven't been distributed to wherever they should be. But the amount of money that the employees got was the net that they got the 2 weeks before that.
So whoever comes and takes over that is going to have to adjust everything.
Joy Williams and I are signatories on the payroll account, so we went to the bank, gave those figures to the bank. They created cashier's checks, which we debited the account for, and each employee got a cashier's check. Even the ones who get direct deposit got cashier's checks for the same amount that they received last time. Someone will have to run that payroll software, update our.
Right.
Once we get to that point.
Once we get someone here to do that. I don't know. They get paid again this week. I believe, is it this week, Thursday?
Yeah.
I don't know if they still worked the same amount last time, Troy and I are, yes, we're willing to try to do the same thing if that's what you want us to do. There will be some adjustments in those, there could be adjustments in those figures when we get to run the actual payroll. If some of the withholdings change, or
Or more hours or something.
more or less hours, we can figure close on change in hours. We got one guy who works the same number of hours every time, except the last time.
And you had the cleaning lady approach you, correct?
I had a cleaning lady approach me, not a cleaning, the person who does the cleaning of the office. Ellie's Cleaning, wondered if we wanted her to continue cleaning. I don't know, she cleans, I don't think she cleans, does anybody know where she cleans? I think it's that hallway in this area, not in there. She comes in there. She does in there. I believe she has access to the building. But she hasn't come back unless we tell her to. There's the information, if anyone wants who she is, copy of the card. Pass that on to Chairman, please.
Oh, that'll be,
File that someplace.
David, if you could hold on, so. All.
She understands what's going on and she's willing to, she's not in a hurry. She wants to know if she should come in and clean or not. She also didn't get paid last month, obviously.
Yep. Anything else on bills then?
Yeah,
They're gonna get pushed till next month, and hopefully, or the month after.
I didn't sign any bills this month anyway.
So, bills will be tabled until the October meeting. Any visitors in the audience? Please. Oh,
Can we back up, just back to the bill?
Yeah.
Do we need directions from the council for Joy and I to try to do the payroll again somehow, so that's in the minutes for sure? Or, because I don't want to do that without,
yeah.
I mean,
That's not a bad idea.
David told me to do it last time with some committee or whatever it was.
I'd say,
we
you
do
know,
it.
if everybody else is all right with it, just, do what you've done and we'll get
I don't
things
need a
done.
motion for that.
I'll make a motion that Dave and Joey does the payroll again, the same way they did it the last 2 weeks.
I'm willing to do that, but like everybody, I don't want to do it on my own.
No, I understand.
I would second that.
Joy, you have time this week?
Anytime.
Any discussion? You guys both good with that? Roll call. Actually, anybody opposed? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Yeah, ayes.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Koval. Anything else on bills, Preston?
I have nothing on bill.
Any visitors, please rise, state your name, address, you'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Ray Miller, Fire Chief. Since you were going on bills, fire contract, third quarter will be due by the end of September.
I have nobody to pay it. We have nobody to pay it,
Well,
so.
you guys need to figure something out. I mean, we got pushed off the first
Yeah.
5 months, so,
Yeah, I understand.
alright. Cause we can go billing per call. I mean, we played the game the first 5 months. And we held up our end of the bargain.
Okay. That's a set amount, correct?
Yeah, you guys agreed on the
Yep.
24 contract amount.
I don't see why that can't,
Be paid.
well, it'll just be paid with the payroll.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where the money comes from and whether, if I have access to that account or
It'll
not.
come out of the fire fund, but I don't know how all that,
The only account that I'm sure, that I know that Joy and I have our signatories on is the general fund and the payroll. The general fund, I mean, there's a fire
You're
fund.
funding the payroll fund from the general fund.
That's where we took it from. We had the bank look back to see, and that's where the transfer came from. So we know that's where that comes from. I'm assuming that that particular payment would come from the fire fund, which is, that's what our taxes go to, and that's where that is, but I don't know that I have access to that account.
if not, is
Take it out
anybody
of the general,
opposed?
if you want us to take it out of the general fund,
Anyone opposed to taking it out of the general fund?
No, I'm not.
you could get me the exact amount, because I don't have access to the records in here, so.
Yeah.
I mean, if you could whatever way, get it to George, get it to me, or
Yeah, that way
whatever.
we can get paid.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what the check was last month, it's the same as that,
Well, it wasn't last month, it was
Or
last
2 months
quarter.
ago.
Yeah.
but whatever it was.
Yeah.
I don't have those records. But if you want me to get a cashier's check.
That's fine, just
Out
so
of
we
the
get
general
it,
fund.
I'll get you the amount.
so we can get it paid.
I guess that leads into
Anything else, Chief?
No.
All right, thank you.
Walter Woods. I guess that leads into the question of where's the backup borough manager that was selected and why isn't anything being taken care of in
Okay,
terms of that?
I will fill you in. I have been in contact with the backup secretary. She will not come in. She works 30 hours at some place and 20 hours at another place. She will not touch anything until the audit is done. Because if something happens between now and when she comes in, she could be held responsible. And she does not want to do that. But once we get the audit done, she is willing to come in and do payroll and everything else like that for us until we find somebody else.
A real audit can take like 2 years.
Well, we're not.
There is a plan in place, and we'll have an executive session at the end
Yes.
to discuss that.
Why not get somebody else in?
We can't, according to her, nobody else will even come in because we need an audit done.
So everybody is so scared of the bookkeeping that Amy had kept that
No,
nobody's willing to touch this place.
no, they're scared of being accused of something,
Exactly.
doing something when they
Right,
get
everybody's
here,
already
not knowing where they
thinking
started
there's
at.
Stuff going on.
Well, I don't know who's being, I don't know who you're hearing that from, Peter, but we're not accusing
No, I
anybody.
don't mean you guys.
We just want to cover our backside, and the person that comes in, they want to be covered so they can't be accused of,
Absolutely.
you know, well, you took this or you took that. They want to be covered. Like I said, once we get the
It
audit,
also covers us.
exactly. Once we get the audit, Lana said she would more than gladly to come in and do payroll or whatever else we need, but she doesn't want to do it until we have
You're
a,
talking
And more
months.
importantly, it covers
No,
our
we're not
taxpayers
talking
and our
much.
residents.
Has an audit already been approved?
I'm hoping we approve one tonight.
It's on the agenda.
It's on the agenda.
It is not.
It's not on there.
Anything.
Okay.
So we'll most likely have a special meeting after this, but
Yeah.
we had received some mail
Today
today
about it today.
So we're gonna have an executive session and then most likely.
There's
special-
multiple people willing to step in right away.
Well, I know there is, but we're not gonna let them come in until we have an audit.
You got bills to pay. I mean, this is crazy. Is this the plan that you guys had if she had gotten into a car accident or just walked away? Was just to wing it?
You got how many employees sitting over here, you know, waiting this week for a paycheck?
They're gonna
That aren't
get
gonna
paid,
have taxes
Sean.
out. I mean, this has been 4 weeks. You call a temp agency and say, hey, this is what we need. And yes, we've got an audit coming up. Can you fill the position temporarily? It's that simple.
Do you have any other questions, Walt? I think your time's up. I'll give you one because you got interrupted.
Republish vote to suspend.
That'll happen, it's on the agenda, and Mr.
So,
They make
Brandon
that up too.
cover that.
okay, the
And
thing
so the company.
And it's those.
I don't think it personally needs to be done.
Where do I
His
do with it?
Wall partner, I don't think believes it needs to be done. No other attorney in the county that I've heard of believes it needs to be done. You're possibly just extending her pay, her free ride for another month. I think that's ridiculous that the community would have to pay for something that doesn't need to be done. And I also request that you guys allow for a time to speak at the end of the meeting. So if anybody has any questions after everything has been said, that they can ask the questions then.
I'll consider for the next agenda to put that on there.
No, I mean at the end of the.
Thank you.
Why don't council take a vote on that?
We can towards the end if they want. Right now, when you visit your comments, then I think you exhausted your time. Okay,
Yeah, okay.
thank you.
Sean Packer, Canton Borough. Who's handling the right to know requests at this time?
No.
Okay.
Anybody else? In the back, sir?
My name is Mark Hoffman. I'm from Roaring Branch. I am the owner of Your Way Disposal LLC. I've been contacted by a couple people in the borough to pick up their trash. So I'm trying to get information on what I need to do to be okayed with the borough. I know there's a couple guys flying under the radar. I don't want to do that. I'm trying to be legit here.
I know there is a process, and I don't know what it all is, but we do sign agreements or contracts with everybody that comes in to collect.
Right. I do know you need limit or liability. I took out $1 million policy. All I need is the board, which I've messaged a couple of you, and you've all helped me out. You guys are working with me, just try to keep me in the loop and.
Mark, if that's a copy, Mark, and you don't mind us taking it, I'll have the attorney hold on to it, and we'll get someone in place.
Do you have a copy, Mark? Is that a copy for you?
Yeah, you can have this one. I just printed it off.
And Mark, usually what we do with these contracts, excuse my voice, I lost it, but I do the best I can. Normally you have prior contracts, we'll put something in along the lines of you gotta have at least one truck.
Yeah.
It would be covered, with canvas.
Yeah.
You'd want to be able to pick up a date certain.
We're doing Mondays.
Have it out on the curb by 7 in the morning, that kind of thing. You're going to retrieve it by 9 p.m. And another issue would be if there was changes to the terms that you had with a customer, you put it in the Canton newspaper, like an advertisement. I think we normally say like 4 weeks in a row,
Right.
if you could do it. So.
Yep.
And obviously you have the liability insurance, and you could name us as liability carrier. And I don't know if you have workman's comp. I mean, it's not required.
Yeah, that's
but you have
all.
people
Right.
working for you. Yeah.
I'm good on the national, state, county. I've had more headache trying to get approved in the Canton Borough than anywhere else. Everywhere else, it's been a phone call to the borough. They make sure I have paying taxes, insured, and I'm good to go.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not looking to take over Canton's trash. I can't do that. I'm a small-time guy. My father-in-law wants me to pick up his on Grand Street. It's small-time stuff. I just want to do it right, So, yeah, just stay in touch if you can.
Sure. All right. Thanks.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Anyone else? Yes, sir. Want to chat?
Roger Tracy, lived in Canton for a long time. I've got 3 or 4 subjects I did. I'll just go down through them. I don't expect you to answer or respond on everything you tie up that time on. The first one is, for a long time I had talked to the previous employee about our streetlights, LED. Several other communities have them. We, for some reason, don't have, so I'd like to have a discussion on that. And I'd like to know what the status is on the pool, what we're doing, if you're doing anything about some studies or fundraising, what are your plans or what you're doing there? And on the police department, it was really why we don't have a presence down in the school zones during when they're opening and when they're closing. That's the main thing. I was wondering if you were going to discuss your policy on your 90-day notice when an employee is going to be suspended or whatever's going to happen. I think that should be looked at and reversed back. That's all I have. If you want to comment on them now or study them over, that's it.
What do you mean reverse? Did you say reverse back?
Yeah, you have a 90-day policy of notifying an employee that they're going to be gone.
That was only for the borough manager, and that
It's just one position.
It had been in the ordinance resolutions, as far as I know. It was even when she was an administrator, correct me if I'm wrong, right?
I think that actually might have been enacted in 1976 and initially, and then I think it was amended in 1998.
And then just the title was changed from administrator to manager
That just
back
happened.
in January, February to match the rest of the state.
So it only applied to one employee in the borough. Is that something you can look at and see if that can be changed?
Yeah, it probably can be. All council would have to vote on.
Right.
And
Oh, yeah.
so
One position, right? Not one employee, but one position.
it was only in regards to the manager.
Okay. For secretary.
As far as I remember. So, excuse me, I haven't read all of them, so as far as I'm aware, it's just the borough manager. I know that it was written for that one. But all the other people are referenced under their own.
Well, that's all I have unless if council's able to respond to any of those things I have tonight, or you need to get an answer, look at it, that's fine.
Well, the police department and school will come up during the police committee. The pool, Mr. Neely, I know you're here for other reasons. If you could just say what you know from past.
We have a couple engineers that we were looking at doing different drawings, but we haven't selected anybody at this time to move forward. We were supposed to do that and get figures together, but that hasn't happened. So.
The only thing I'll say about the streetlights, we were told at prior meetings that it wasn't to save money or anything. I personally don't like them. They can be a harsh light, and depending on where that's pointed. But I haven't voted no. We haven't had a vote on them or anything like that. So.
Well, it does provide better light. I know everybody's been, Blossbury has them, Leroy has them, for God's sakes.
I know the original ones were very directional, and you had no overcast or anything. I don't know how any of the new ones are. And it hasn't been brought up at our council meeting in a while. I know I talked to Mr. Woods about it a month or so ago.
Yeah,
So,
month and a half.
And there seems to be that there's some update, whether that's something that we start to looking into after we get a new employee in here or whatnot. But some of that stuff's gonna take some time now. Okay, thank you, Mr. Tracy. Anybody else?
Jim McDonald, Canton Borough. So in regards to the street light, who's responsible for all the street lights on Troy Street? Is that Penwick?
The borough is.
Because there's many nights at 11 o'clock at night, Troy Street's pitch black. And street lights just keep going out, and the whole street's black from West Union to Sullivan Street.
What I do, not to interrupt, but what I do is, the poles are given to me, and I go around and collect all the numbers of the poles that the lights are giving us problems. I turn the poles in, the secretary will make the call, and then Penelec will have all the pole numbers, and then it basically works out when Penelec gets here to do it. They're on a screwed up schedule. They only do lights like a certain days a month and stuff. So when that crew gets in this area, then they replace the lights for us. Okay. Yeah, we really don't have any control of it once we give the pole numbers to them and everything. So.
Where'd you say the issue was from East Union to where?
From Union Street all the way to the red light. There's many nights that the whole street's black. None of the street lights are working.
I can go see which ones they are and everything, and I get the pole numbers, but then what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, and then you'll get them, they'll come on for 10 minutes and then shut off.
They're bad started.
You should just call the, I think if you call the 1-800 number or somebody or something, or call Pickett or Outlets Office, they can give you a direct number to call on.
Anyone else for visitors? Go ahead.
Chris Schrader, been on council, also a resident of the borough. First, I wanted to applaud the people who did take action last week and do something that needed to be done for 20 years. And next, I would like to say that I've noticed that there is a thing to rescind, which was alluded to earlier and so on, and that Mr. Brand is going to speak on the Sunshine Act because he kept bringing that up at the last meeting as well. The Sunshine Act has to do with secret meetings and things being done by council in secret. It has nothing to do with what happened at the last meeting. It was all done and recorded right here in this room. So what happens can stand. There's no reason for it to be reversed, rescinded, re-voted on, any of that. And basically to encourage you, the ones that did vote, because I'm sure you're going to stay the same, to keep it that way, to stick with your guns, because they're going to try to fear you in to changing your vote, and don't do it, because this is what they've done for years before I got on council, while I was on council, and even now after. So don't let them continue to let this tyranny continue in this town, because it will, as long as you let it.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Schrader. Anyone else?
David Atherton, Canton Borough. I was just wondering, is there any updates on any new police officers? I know you guys were looking for maybe some part-timers or some other full-time. I didn't know if you guys had advertised or anything, or how that's going.
No, we don't have any advertisements out right now.
Okay.
Pretty much everything has been put on hold for the current situation.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm sure you understand that.
Oh yeah. Just wondering, you got, but after this is resolved, there is going to be some going forward with it.
the last officers that we hired under that program, we were under the hopes that by hiring 3 young officers from the area, they would be a little more dedicated to the borough. Unfortunately, we were wrong. It's a changed world. People have lost the sense of community and dedication to their towns and boroughs. They're a little more worried about the dollars, which I understand, life costs money.
I suspect that the leadership was different, they had more
If
dedication.
you'll excuse me while I was talking.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you. I've spoke to 2 of the officers that left, and it was financial. You know, unfortunately, the Canton tax base doesn't allow what the Towanda or Athens or Wellsboro, pay is. We were working on revamping that, maybe changing the amount of officers we had, but everything got put on hold.
Yeah, I completely understand that with the current situation. I was just curious.
Thank you. Anyone else? Go ahead and.
Pete Ferrari, 146 East 2nd Street, Canton. I would just like to somewhat reiterate what I said last time as far as going forward with the decision that was made. I understand the complexity and the reason for it. However, I'm a member of the Chamber of Commerce also, and we recently had a meeting, and it went a lot like this meeting went last time and kind of is going this time, as far as everything's at a standstill because of a lot of what Amy did. And so like that meeting there wasn't answers for the parade and the permits for that. There wasn't answers for the events coming up. The bills that get paid for that building over there, somewhat also come out of this office. So once she was locked out of that office, all that somewhat stopped because I believe she's the treasurer for that. And so again, that's run on a grant. We have a lot of other grants that are here in this town that she was writing on, and some of them are continuous grants, like the USDA grant, that, after so many months, you have to refill out paperwork and reapply for things. And that building over there is no different. It's one that's a continuous grant. And if that paperwork isn't turned in the amount of time that it's supposed to, and things aren't done when they need to be done, we're gonna lose a lot of that stuff. Along with, the grants that are going on down at the pool and all those. I also have a couple of friends that are business owners here in town that do construction. They have a lot of jobs to do here in this town, and they're out of work because of the decision that you guys made. And a lot of them are new families. They have kids. They're trying to feed their kids, and they can't because they had work lined up that need to be permitted, and they can't do the work. They can't get a permit. And so, again, I understand why things need to go that direction, but I think just going forward in the future and in the next years to come, really having a backup plan in place. I understand we had somebody to come in for an emergency, but I can only look and see that they probably didn't consider this an emergency. If she got sick or hurt, that's an emergency to be put on 90-day leave. I can only imagine that she probably viewed that as that was an emergency, that was a choice you guys made. And so now you have to deal with that. And again, I applaud you for making some of the decisions that you are, and I understand them. And that's the same with being an auditor. I didn't mean you guys were casting any type of rumors that there was embezzlement or any issues. A lot of that happens in this crowd or the internet warriors. And so for me, if I was schooled and needed a job and wanted to come in, I also wouldn't touch it until somebody went through all of that. Because what if you guys are right and she did something wrong and now I step into that position, who are you gonna blame? The new person or the old person?
Yeah, but it's all
So get it right
dated.
the first time.
It's all dated. Whatever happened before a person steps in has no effect on the new person. It's all dated, so you can't prove the new
Thank you,
person
Peter.
did something.
Anybody else from the public?
Joe Carrion, I own the Canton Sentinel here in town. I was going to speak, but I just want to talk about the police issue. So I know we're going to hear that the sheriffs are down at the school. That's awesome, but the sheriffs are inside the school grounds. The other day I watched a motorcycle rip through a school zone, probably doing 45, 50. And luckily Clint was standing there and we're sitting there and pulled him over. But I think it's important that we have someone down there clocking that school zone as much as we can to keep our kids safe. The lady was trying to walk across the street to get some kids across, and that guy just ripped through there. We got to have someone out there watching that school zone. I appreciate the sheriff being there within the school grounds, but we need someone outside the school zone as well. One other thing too, I know you guys are dealing with bills, but I have some legal ads that you guys placed with me. If they go over 30 days, I'm going to have to assess finance charges. Not trying to be tough, but just the reality situation. So. Thank you.
Anyway, we gonna get an extension on that until somebody is in place.
Probably not. My policy is my policy. It's for everyone.
I get
so,
it.
Sorry.
Doesn't hurt to ask, right?
Yep. Yep.
Have you sent any notices to us yet, Joe?
We invoiced you at the end of the month with your notaries. So I appreciate you guys running your ads with me again. I do. But just, I gotta stay straight across the board with everyone.
I get it.
So, thank you.
We'll look at those next time if we have to do it. Payroll the same. We'll look at doing those for that. Anybody else? Nope. All right, Mr. Brown.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about the Sunshine Act. Talked about it last week. Just try to bear with me. I know I don't sound great here, but I feel okay. I just don't sound good. I just want to explain again, but maybe I can go through the history a little bit more. The Sunshine Act was amended in 2021, and that took effect June 30th, 2021. And what happened there was they wanted to, the state legislature wanted to make sure that any agency business that might be subject to deliberation or a vote was put on the agenda, okay, at least 24 hours in advance. And so what they did was they crafted a new section to the Sunshine Act, which would be section 712.1. And they basically said, look, except as provided in subsections B, C, D, and E, an agency may not take official action on a matter of agency business at a meeting if the matter was not included in the notification that was required under section 709C1, which relates to the public notice, okay, which is notice at least 24 hours in advance. Now, they do have exceptions to the rule, and subsection B talked about emergency business. If there is basically the agency can take if there's an emergency situation where somebody's life or property is in danger, you could do that. You could go ahead and amend the agenda in that situation. The second exception would be a situation where it's brought up before the meeting, like within the 24 hours, but before the meeting starts. And it has to be what they call de minimis in nature, which is, like I said, Black's Law Dictionary considers that a small and trifling matter. And then the third situation, the third exception, would be a situation where it's brought up by a taxpayer or a resident of the borough during the meeting. And if somebody brought it up during the meeting, and it's de minimis in nature, then you could change the agenda. And then subsection E talks about the fact that the majority of a quorum would have to vote. You have to get a majority of the quorum to agree to that. So the way I read it back in 2021, and I think a lot of municipalities thought, okay, you got 4 exceptions. You've got emergency business, de minimis business that arises within 24 hours before the meeting, de minimis issues that might be brought up during the meeting, and when the majority of the quorum votes to amend the agenda. That changed in November of 2023, and this case came out, Coleman versus Parkland School District. And that was a situation where a school district wanted to put the collective bargaining agreement on the agenda. And they didn't post it on the agenda, but they wanted to amend the agenda to include it that day of the meeting. And Coleman, who happens to be, well, I think he's a state senator, and so he, obviously has some unique insight into what the state legislature was thinking. They have been, I don't know if it was maybe a representative or a state senator. In any event, he filed an action against the school district, Parkland School District, and he said, hey, his reading of it is you have to be an emergency situation, de minimis brought up by a council member before the meeting, de minimis brought up by a member of the public or during the meeting, and, not or, and it has to be approved by the majority. So it's basically subsection B, subsection B, or subsection C, or subsection D, and subsection E. Because the Commonwealth Court, and I think I understand the rationale, was subsection E basically swallows subsections B, C, and D. So essentially, what we have here is it's got to be an emergency situation. It has to be a de minimis situation that's brought up before the meeting by a member of council, or a de minimis issue that arises during the meeting, and you have to have a majority of the quorum that votes to go ahead and amend the agenda. And I just want the, and that's why I just wanted to explain that to council last month, and I wanted to explain it to the public. And just so they understand that that's what the law is. And then, of course, the question is what's de minimis and what's not. And, that's basically ultimately what a court would decide if somebody filed a Sunshine Act violation against, members of council. So out of an abundance of caution, and I think the whole reason for amending the Sunshine Act, and also I think because of the Commonwealth Court decision in Coleman, was to promote more transparency. So if you've got some issue that is of some significance, put it in the agenda at least 24 hours in advance, and that way there's not going to be any surprise to anybody. And I think that's, so out of an abundance of caution, that was my advice to the board, and it still is. So that's just, I just wanted to give the public the same explanation, kind of the history behind the amendment, and then of course the Coleman decision, which interpreted it, and it really narrowly tailored the exceptions, narrowly construed it. So, thank you.
I do have a comment, Mr. President.
Go ahead, Brian.
Mr. Brand, are you giving us your legal opinion?
I'm reading the law, Brian, and my opinion is whatever. Yeah, go ahead.
I know you're losing your voice. The reason I'm asking, if you're giving us your legal opinion, would you be willing to put that legal opinion in writing?
Well, Brian, let me explain it again. I'm just reading the law. My opinion would be, I would have to define what's de minimis. I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to say is, I'm going to say that if there's an emergency situation where somebody's property or their life is in danger, you can amend the agenda. A second situation would be a member of council brings it up within 24 hours of the meeting, but before the meeting, okay? Not during the meeting, but before the meeting, and it had to be de minimis in nature. And the third situation, according to Coleman versus Parkland School District, is a situation where it's brought up by a taxpayer or a resident of the borough during the meeting, and it's considered de minimis. I'm not going to tell you, I mean, I did, my thought, and I did give an opinion last month, that I didn't think suspending the borough manager and the secretary and the treasurer and everything else would be considered de minimis. But I'm going to leave that out and just leave it up to you. That's the law. And you can decide what you think is de minimis and what you don't. Because really,
that's fair. Yeah, I just was hoping that you would write a legal opinion, but rather just give your opinion.
Well,
but that's fine, because I did ask her, right, to have the Agenda Act added to the Sunshine Act to the agenda, correct?
Yes, yes, you did.
Okay, so can I make a motion now?
Yeah, sure, Brian, that's up to you.
Yeah, thank you. So last month, there were several motions to amend the agenda. However, council did not post the amended agenda at the borough office no later than the first business day of following the meeting at which the agenda was changed. Therefore, I now move to republish the August 12, 2000 meeting agenda for the inclusion of the amendments that were voted to be added on to that agenda and have that posted, that copy posted of the amended agenda upon adjournment of tonight's meeting to correct the oversight. Okay? So if someone wants to second that, I did give copies of the amended agenda. Everyone can now receive a copy of that. But this should clarify that now we have met that. We did do the majority of agency must vote before it adds an item to the agenda, followed by posting the revised agenda after the fact. We did not do that. So yes, we did violate the Sunshine Act there. I would agree. So at this point in time, I am making a correction for that mistake. I have prepared an amended agenda with the wording. You all can look at it and vote to second my motion, if you will, and I think that will cover us.
He's right on that, and that's the way to fix it.
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion?
I'm not sure I understand it.
Yeah, so,
Okay, so
what
I do
was,
have discussion, sir. So the borough code recognizes the powers provided to the manager are delegated by council through an ordinance. Council voted 6-1 after the amended agenda. The agenda was amended, allowing the agency business to be added to our August 12th agenda. Therefore, I clearly do not understand what, if anything, prevents council from issuing a written statement setting forth an intention to remove the manager by simultaneously placing her on an administrative leave. I know you referenced Coleman Act. We did not enter into a contract. This is no secret. This did not involve the expenditure of funds or anything into a contract.
Well, it
was
did.
an action to recall the existing powers of the council delegated through an ordinance. Furthermore, council then voted 5-2 to place manager Sealy on a 90-day paid administrative leave. We're not spending any money. If she was working, she would be getting paid. She's getting paid, put on a 90-day administrative leave. What we did was fair. We did not enter a contract. So I think this motion that George just seconded, again, takes us out of any violation of Sunshine Act. And if she wants to sue us, that's fine. Because unless Mr. Brand wants to put his legal opinion and provide me with case law saying this, rather than just his opinion,
Well, Brian,
I wanted to go to
okay,
vote.
Brian, that's fine. I think you have to determine whether or not, even though it's not an expenditure of money and it's not a contract, you have to decide whether or not you believe that removing or suspending the borough manager, who's also happened, and the same person who is the treasurer and the same person who's the secretary, would be considered de minimis in nature.
Yeah.
Can I address
So
some
I
of
guess
this?
we made that decision, did we, sir? So we have a
No, that's up,
motion now.
that's right. That's up to council. I don't have a vote.
So it was not on the agenda.
Thank you. I just wish you to put your legal opinion in writing with case law, cite case law for that.
I don't have case law because it's a pretty new law, but I do have the Coleman versus Parkland School District case.
Right, and that's the contract, sir, right?
No,
Yes.
Brian,
Thank you.
the law states, what Coleman said was, you have to have a situation that is essentially an emergency situation, it has to be an emergency, or it has to be de minimis.
Right, sir. And at this point, I think whether you like the decision council makes or not, we are your client, and you should be doing what we ask you to and defend our actions. Okay? So if you don't want to represent council anymore, then just tell us. We'll find someone else.
No, I will not represent council.
Okay.
I'm not gonna represent council if council isn't gonna take my advice.
Okay. Now, you told us before we have a labor attorney. Have you consulted with him?
I did, and he agreed with me, and he said that the law of the land is Coleman versus Parkland School District. That is now.
Did he put it in writing?
It's currently on. No, it's currently.
He did put it in writing.
Right. Well, he emailed me.
Okay, that's good. That's fine. Thanks for sharing your opinion. We have a motion to vote. I have nothing further to add.
So it was not on the agenda to vote on an amended agenda from last month.
Yeah, with the corrections for the violation of the Sunshine Act. challenging skill to be able to post an amended agenda. I recognize that I made an error. I'm now making a correction, and I think that's what the courts want to see. People are violating the Sunshine Act left and right, okay? Until this gets through the Supreme Court, I don't think there's anything too much to worry about.
Can I clarify some things?
Well, council, you have a decision. It was not on the agenda to amend an agenda from last month. So.
Seems like a couple of you don't know what you're voting on. I can clarify it for you.
There's a motion, I think public comment in the beginning of the meeting, this is now for council.
Council comments, yep. So council, is there any discussion on Brian Cole's motion to post this agenda from last month?
With the amendments. They included amendments, smart amendments, Mr. Schultz made.
Yep, and again, it would have been nice if you would have given this to council prior, instead of it just getting handed out when it happened at the meeting.
Do you understand, sir? I left the country, okay?
I don't know where you're at, I just know you're not
but
here.
That's not the point, Mike.
But I'm
You got
just,
it in front of you, read it.
yeah.
You either agree or just don't agree.
As soon as it happened, the same with the minutes. We had no time to review the minutes. We had to do it at the meeting.
Okay.
You waited till last minute to do everything. I've asked you not to
Mr.
do
Brand's
this.
phone don't work, and because I can't call him, I asked you to give me a number to call. You didn't respond, so blame it all on Brian, right?
Nope.
Okay, I got broad shoulders, whatever.
Thank you.
Like Mr. Allen said, you want to play games? We'll play games.
I'm not playing games, Brian.
Yes, you are.
All right, any other discussion from council?
I think the issue is that the motion made last month to suspend was not properly worded and not properly voted on, and that was what we were planning on voting on. Steve now is posting the agenda 30 days later to cover his butt from 30 our butt from 30 days ago. Yes. I'm going to cover it anyway. So I'm going to vote no on a particular motion right now and advise that we continue with our current agenda, which is legally been published. My personal opinion, it doesn't make any sense what you said, Brian, to me.
Anybody else from council? Roll call. Joey Williams.
I can explain it to you if you would allow me to.
So Brian's trying to fix the error from last month that should have been posted that I don't think any of us knew about immediately afterwards.
Mr. Brand told us before about the Sunshine Law. If you read the Sunshine Law, it says 3 reasons: emergency business arising within 24 hours of the meeting, business brought up by that was exempt from voting on an unlisted agenda item. Then the majority of council must vote before adding that item to the agenda, which we did. Then, once that's done, you're supposed to follow up by posting the revised agenda after the fact. That was never done. That's why I have an amended agenda to repost after the fact. Once you, I took classes on the Sunshine Act, people. Once you recognize you made a mistake, if you're willing to correct that mistake, the courts will support you. All we're doing is trying to correct an error. This has nothing to do with anything else. Yeah. This is on the motion to amend the agenda. Okay? It is not reposted. Okay. Now is the time to repost it. I have typed it up and provided everyone with a copy. If you take 2 seconds and read it, you will see the exact wording. So, I'm not in the building. I'm not in the country. Okay? I didn't get it to you on time. Maybe if everyone wants to share an email address with me, if everyone wants to share a mailing address with me, I could be better at getting this information to you. I'm not a magician. Okay? When you have a problem, there's a solution. But you have to be constructive and be willing to let your guard down and work with me as well. Okay. I spent countless hours on this stuff.
I think that the problem is not the posting of the agenda. The problem is this is definitely, from looking at the mess we're in, not a de minimis decision, which you added last month. I think that's the issue. This is not de minimis.
The agenda isn't de minimis?
You think this is de minimis? Come on up here and deal with what we're dealing with. Get a permit. do the payroll, pay the bills. We can't do that right now because of the decision that was made last month on it. It was not on the agenda until you added it, and it was definitely not de minimis to me. So we're making a motion tonight because it's on the agenda, so we can do the same
The other
thing.
problem is it arose during the meeting, not within 24 hours.
Correct. So the motion that we should be working on is that same motion you made last month, but it's on the agenda this month. So if everybody feels the same, we can fix it.
When adding this to the agenda also put us in the same boat of we're amending the agenda to fix the prior agenda that wasn't on tonight's agenda.
And then you just post the agenda.
Right.
Did you just write this morning?
We all just got it when we walked in the building, or halfway through the meeting.
I had copies made Friday, just like I did. I went to Brand's office. The secretary said, "Mr. Brand's out of town till Sunday." I said, "Well, that's unfortunate. I won't be here to contact him." I was going to get a cell phone, but he said his cell phone don't work no more, so I couldn't call. I sent an email to Solicitor Brand, telling him get a hold of Mike. I wanted this on the agenda. I never got a response after I asked to have this put on the agenda, so I thought it was a go. I asked Mike, "Can you provide me with a number to call in or a Zoom?" Never got a response. So now let's just bring Brian for everything. And Mr. Preston, if you're just giving your opinion or you're giving us a legal opinion, put it in writing. Why do you think this is wrong?
I just told you why. If you don't understand, that's your
I know,
problem.
that's your opinion. That's not legal. Are you a Esquire behind your name?
All right, that's enough. So, there's a motion on the table to post an amended agenda from last month, and then we would also have to repost this month if this is allowed, adding this to it.
So tomorrow someone would need to type an agenda and get it posted within 24 hours.
Is that in order?
No, I'm just saying so we don't have that violation again. It really should be done right after the meeting, I believe. Solicitor Brand may be better to tell you that, but I thought we have so much going on, the lack of communication, but if we're aware of it now, I think we could do the correct thing, right? That's what I'm asking. If it needs to be, if the agenda tonight was to be amended for any whatsoever reason, I would suggest talking to Solicitor Brand and definitely getting that posted.
Yeah. And I think it has to be, right, I think it has to be within 24 hours.
Okay.
So this should have been posted 24 hours.
Yes, correct. Correct.
After last month. But that says post September 9th, correct?
And then with this amended agenda thing that he has corrects that?
It should, yes.
It has to be posted again too.
Well, I mean, it wasn't within the 24 hours, but I see what he's saying.
No, but I'm recognizing that.
No, I understand that. That's great, Brian. No, that's great.
So should we wait until it's done the proper way?
Yeah, you have to post it twice. You have to post it. This one.
We should
have to post it on the media.
Probably should cure it, yeah. It's late, but we should try to cure it.
Okay. So if we vote yes to publish this, then we would move on to what you have as republished.
Yes, yeah, that's the first motion he's made is to post it. I know it's how many days late, it's after the 24 hours, but at least it's an attempt to cure, and it's kind of belated, but it's a good attempt. So
do you have a good copy still to put up? I've already wrote on it. So.
This one.
Okay. If it passes. All right.
You'd have to add that to it, all right, before you post.
Yeah, so.
He did.
And then the agenda we're working on now, we would need to.
Yeah, Brian provided us with the amended agenda that could be posted, yeah.
All right. Any more discussion? Joy Williams.
Yes.
George Canton.
Yes.
Dave Preston.
Yes.
Brian Cole.
Aye.
Ken Watkins.
Aye.
Myself. Aye. So we'll get this posted to correct the error that we made last month. And also, somebody will have to insert, add amended agenda from September 9th to the current agenda and post that as well. So we'll get that up. All right, Brian, back to you. Republish the vote to suspend. Brian, did you hear me?
No, I didn't. I'm sorry.
We're at the point to republish the vote to suspend.
I don't understand what you mean.
When you say republish.
Continue. Just re-vote on it. So the vote that you made last month, or the motion, I'm sorry, the motion you made last month, can you state that all over again? As we were advised to republish it and have a vote on it again.
You made the amendment, I have the actual motion.
It's in our minutes. Read off
Yeah,
the
the
minutes.
I was trying to get him to read it. That way it went as mostly like it did before.
I read the motion last time out.
Okay, that's right, sorry.
You want to read it from the minutes? Okay, same thing.
I made a motion to amend the agenda. That was voted on.
Yep.
Once the agenda was amended, the item was then added to our agenda.
Yep.
I'm sorry,
I'll
Brian, I
read it,
was
Brian.
thinking you did both, I'm sorry.
I'll read that motion. I'll read the motion at the last meeting. I move to hereby place the borough manager on a paid administrative leave for a period of 90 days, effective immediately. By suspending our manager, the council is recalling any and all powers delegated to the borough manager, including all duties performed as secretary, treasurer, right-to-know officer, and zoning officer as outlined by Chapter 1, Part 1, Borough Manager Ordinance, and it lists the ordinance number. Sections 101 through 107.
And is there a second?
I'll second.
Brian got it.
And is there discussion?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mr. Preston.
I don't know which one of my 7 speeches to make. That's one without foul language. Having worked in public service, or public service, having a lot of customers come in, he waited on, which is basically what, other than, she's the only face we have of people coming in to talk to. If I had a problem with somebody who didn't give good service to our customer support, I guess we want to call it customer service, have a conversation, and if you had a complaint, you get documentation. And you check with the employee and get their side of the story and documentation. We did none of that with this particular case. We had unsubstantiated rumors. We had everybody says so. We had everybody knows it. I don't think we have anything in writing that.
Mr. Preston.
No, I'm not
Ask
done
your
yet. Thank you.
question,
We
please.
have nothing in writing yet that says you did this wrong, and we didn't give our employee opportunity to say, well, this is what I did. There's no documentation. I think it's a
Mr. Preston,
ludicrous
would
decision
you
we
like to
made
refer
last
to
time.
the February 14th?
And I'm going to continue with that. So, Brian, when I'm done, you can speak.
Okay,
Thank you. I'll be like Kamala. I'm speaking. So I think that the mistake we made was not following our own disciplinary procedure, which allows for the employee to defend himself with backup, with facts, instead of everybody says so. And that's my personal opinion. I think even if the accusations are correct, we did it incorrectly, and we need to revisit it. And I'm going to vote no on this motion again tonight. And I'm done. Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Cole.
Yeah, I'd like to refresh Mr. Preston's memory a little bit here. February 14th, 2022, you have official meeting minutes. And I don't know if he remembers, but that was Mr. Cole speaking after he got sworn in at the January council meeting and subsequently set up by some of those council members sitting at that table tonight to sign bills for a period of time when he wasn't even on council. You had me sign bills for a time that was December of the previous year. That was illegal, in my opinion. Number two, she put everything in there word for word what Mr. Cole said that night. And Mr. Preston's like, come on, what else you got? Come on. And one of my questions was, what was the $500 check made out to Mr. Seeley from Mrs. Seeley for? Mrs. Seeley, why don't you ask me? Okay. I spun around in my chair and I asked her, could you tell me what the $500? It's for his uniforms. It's in the policy. Well, come next month, guess what wasn't in the minutes? It wasn't something that Mr. Cole said it was left out. It's in the policy. So I made a motion to amend the minutes. That it's in the policy. Committed political suicide, in my opinion. Become attacked and scrutinized by some of my fellow council members. Come to find out after standing up there and arguing with these people until 9:30, 10 o'clock at night after the meeting, they told me there is no policy, Brian. They lied to me. That's pissing down my neck and telling me it's raining. I've had it. Do you need more proof? This is the kind of person that is representing our community. That's good enough reason for me, sir, and it's in the minutes. And as far as complaint forms, Michael Schultz said in 2018, put the complaint form on the website. That's in the minutes. The complaints form was never given to anybody. How can you document stuff when you are withheld and held under such a vice grip in this community that you can't do anything, people. But people come out and speak their voices, and now you're saying it's he said, she said. It takes a lot of guts for these people to come out and speak. And I hate to tell you this, but I'm going to tell you again. You are elected officials. You represent your constituency. You're their voice. That's all I have.
Anybody else? So, if this was, we had multiple different employees, keep in mind the only thing that falls under the 90-day suspension, somebody asked about it earlier, is the borough manager position. So if we had separate secretary, treasurer, right to know officer, there's another one I can't remember. Zoning, thank you. We would deal with these all separately and there'd be different actions to take. So I don't know if any of that applies in this scenario to where if she did something wrong, you know, as the zoning officer, I don't know. But it would be handled completely different if they were separate, different people. I said it before, I would have liked to have seen the complaint policy come forward. So we, as a council, could have addressed it and addressed anything given to us by the public to make that and have a positive reaction. We could have, I think, gotten through this a little bit smoother. So, anybody else have anything to say? Council?
Could the public comment on this?
No, you got a motion.
So, Deanna, you read it, and with the initial Brian Koval, you seconded. Roll call. Joey Williams?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, so that Bruce Jennings?
Yes.
Dave Preston?
No.
Deanna Watkins?
Yes.
Schultz? No.
Brian? Mr. Brian?
Mr. Koval, aye, please.
I'm sorry. Thank you. Ryan,
Yes, sir.
Coble. Aye. So the vote's 4-2.
Sweet.
That'll take number 1 underneath off that because the vote stayed the same or relatively the same. We have to republish the vote to accept Brett Neely's resignation. Mr. Neely, do you at all have any inclination on rescinding that yourself? I didn't have the phone number to get a hold of you.
Nope.
So I read a letter from Mr. Neely saying that he was resigning from council and then made a motion to accept Brett Neely's resignation. I think I did it.
Yes, you did.
Yes.
I'll make the same this one to accept Brett Neely's resignation. Is there a second?
Awesome.
Joey Williams, any discussion?
Thank you for your service. You show that you're gonna stay on it, that's,
EMA.
EMA. And any information you have on the pool, you'll share with us.
Sure.
If you already talked to somebody, we have a question, we call you.
Alright, now we're gonna do this quick and easy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
On opposed, say nay. There's no nays, the ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Neely, I appreciate
Thanks,
your
Brett.
time.
Again, those are, I'm sure mostly accepted with regret.
No, absolutely.
Brian, I'll come to you first on the police department. You had the pension information that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I did, Mike. Thank you. I guess first and foremost, well, let me find my. So I went on the Attorney Auditor General's webpage, and you can easily find information on any county or any audit that they've done. And so they conducted a compliance audit for Canton Borough Police Plan pension for a period of January 1st, 2020 to December 31st, 2023. And in part it reads, the objective of this audit was to determine if the pension plan was administered in compliance with applicable state law, regulations, contracts, administrative procedures, local ordinances, and policies. It also goes on to read that they found nothing wrong. The second page, the result of our procedures indicate that in all significant respects, the Canton Borough Police Pension Plan was administered in compliance with the applicable state law, regulation, contracts, administrative procedures, and local ordinances and policies. So when it appeared on our agenda last month, I did ask a question. I believe it was Mr. Preston that said no, that the auditor said no, we have a compliance issue, we have to repeal and replace our ordinance with an ordinance. So we were granted ordinance 2024-1. So as a result, I guess I can turn my question to Solicitor Brandt at this point. Did you prepare ordinance 2024-1 to repeal and replace ordinance number 566?
No,
You didn't.
I did not.
Who prepared this ordinance?
I don't know, Brian.
How did it get on our meeting packets? Mr. Preston, would you care to tell me who told you this was required?
The borough secretary told me. I happened to be in, and I
Who's
asked
the
how
borough
the audit
secretary?
went.
We don't.
Amy
I'm sorry,
told me.
sir, I missed that. Could you
Well,
tell
I
me
don't
who
want-
the person was?
Amy told me. I'm not sure which position she was acting under.
So I was simply going to ask that we table this, but I can tell you, I think you were given bad information, sir,
Possible.
and I'm sorry to say that. And I would suggest we have our solicitor look into this, because there was a verbal communication given to remove one sentence. And ordinance 566 is in compliance.
I don't have that information,
Brian.
Brian.
Replace this ordinance.
The person I got the
It was a
information from
simple
is
fix to
unavailable to me.
remove one sentence. It's on page 14 and it's highlighted. A simple fix. But we were presented with an ordinance that was drafted by our borough secretary regarding the police pension ordinance, and you told us it was required by the auditor.
That's what I was told.
That's what you told council, correct?
That's what I was told, correct.
That's, you give us bad information, sir, in my opinion. So if you want to table that to next month, you can. But I would highly suggest, unless our solicitor can tell me now why that wording is what it is, why we were not provided with ordinance 566 to review, and he can look back at ordinance, let me look here, maybe it's not ordinance 512, because ordinance 66 repealed and replaced that.
560.
Yeah.
No, I don't
So
know.
did you ever get a copy of this ordinance, sir?
I don't have it, Brian.
You don't?
Do you have a copy?
Wow.
It's in your pack. Well, I think it was in my packet.
Really?
But I don't think I
Well,
took.
the funny thing is,
Yeah.
I don't think she gave us the correct audit report. I think she gave us the non-uniform police.
No, wait a minute, Brian, I do.
Non-uniform employee.
No, I have the.
Paperwork.
I have the compliance audit that I have that was in a packet was the Canton Borough non-uniform pension plan. That's what I have.
I think they
That's
were
what I had too.
stapled together.
We're talking about this ordinance is for the police pension plan, which is covered through Act 600.
Mine was.
Yeah, they're both there, Brian.
Brian.
They're both there.
Yeah.
It's just that.
They were stapled together. They were
Yeah.
both in that same, yeah, they were both in that same
So
batch.
anyway,
Yep.
I sent a
Same thing.
questionnaire in for the Auditor General, and I got a call back from the
Yeah.
director of the auditors right before I left town, and he was very kind and explained to me. And he said, you know, Brian, I can't answer, but he said, you know, all this stuff was done, and we did the audit and everything, and we made one verbal recommendation to remove. Now he says your solicitor would have drafted, because there's very specific questions and very specific things you need to do through the borough code. When you're going to repeal and replace an ordinance, it gives you specific guidelines. Advertising, having your solicitor prepare, but our solicitor didn't prepare or review it. We were just told by Dave Preston that Amy Seeley told him we were required to do this.
I believe you asked the question, and I believe my response was, I think it was, we were told by the auditor, which is the truth as far as I knew it.
But was it a compliance issue was my question. And I specifically
told you
said
what I
something
know.
on the facts of, so we're required to do this? Yeah, everyone was like, yeah, so they all voted, yeah. You're telling us, you know, we're required. So we need to figure this out, folks.
Mr. Brand, will you look into that?
Yeah,
I think there was part of the conversation that had been missed a couple of times. I don't think it was something from this one. I don't recall the whole conversation, but I think it was, and by looking at the date on this, it says something about 2000, Act 51, 2009. So I don't know when it got missed, but it sounded like it was missed for a while by the auditors. That's what I remember. I'm not saying that's the truth.
Well, we have an actuary, I think it's a principal financial group that does our pension work information for us, correct? No?
I don't have the answer for you, Brian. I don't know if anybody else does.
All right, so, yeah. But I think, you know, Solicitor Brand would take time to look in for a plan for us to make sure that I'm not getting bad information again. But at this point, if he didn't draft the ordinance, we can't answer why. I just don't feel comfortable moving forward at this time.
I'll make a motion, we table the police pension.
What's that?
I said, I will make a motion to table the police pension. So we can
I'll
get,
second that.
so we're not here all night discussing this.
That's good, thank you.
Brian, do you have copies of either of those to get to them?
Requiring to work his hours? No.
No, I'm probably gonna have to fill out a right to know request to get that.
Probably not.
It's 30 days, I don't know. I'll have to look. Like, I'm on vacation, I
No,
probably got something in my email, I don't know. I'll look at it sometime.
Any other discussion? Roll call, Joy Williams,
Yes.
George Jennings,
Yes.
Brian Coble. Hello.
Brian,
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
we
Roll
want your-
call
Roll call for.
to table till next month.
I
and-
vote aye.
Thank
Table.
you. Dave Preston.
I'm sorry.
Aye.
Deanna Wilson. Mike Schultz. All right. Chief, do you have anything?
No.
Street Department, Mr. Wilson?
We've done several projects. We're working on some new projects on different streets in town, trying to get everything done by the end of October. Also, I have a couple questions for council, if that's possible, please.
Go ahead.
I am getting phone calls from my suppliers. I don't know how we're gonna do this, because this involves fuel, this involves my materials, this involves any maintenance or anything I get done. But I need to get these bills paid somehow, some way, or I'm not gonna have anything to do. I mean, so.
When's the salt bid thing due?
The salt bid's not due till February.
Okay.
Or February and March, that's when I have to have my salt, the salt contract does. I had my salt for this year, for my contracts in for my salt this year. But like I said, I've got a skid steer up there now that we're renting, that they're gonna end up taking back if Warner's isn't paid and everything. And I'm pretty sure, and I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that some of the checks are already in there on the desk that have already been taken care of by you guys, but they're just sitting on the desk now, not mailed.
So can we, either David or Joey, take care of that and get it in the mail?
If I know what we're talking about.
I'm pretty sure it was that stack that we signed
Could
last
be.
meeting.
Yeah.
This needs to be mailed out as well?
We gotta find out where the
They are
envelopes,
signed.
are the envelopes with them?
Some,
I doubt it.
And are they stamped?
Yeah, do you use stamps or does she have a postage machine? I don't know. I've not.
She used to have a postage machine, but it's hard to tell what she has.
There are stamps out there, you think?
So-
If the council wants Joey and I to do the best we can.
I would make recommendation, or make a motion to let Dave and Joey get a hold of the checks, get them, and get it in the, get them in the envelopes and get them out to these vendors so we don't start losing vendors or have issues.
do you think any of those checks were what you're talking about?
Oh, I know one of them's your concrete one.
Okay.
That was sitting in there, and I know there should be a Warner's check in there for sure. There's gonna be DeCristo, there's gonna be Seacrest.
DeCristo was definitely in there.
That skid steer is the same payment every month.
You made a motion, right?
Yes.
To be honest, I don't know.
No, sorry.
Oh, you're all right, Mike.
To be honest with you, I don't know.
Is there a second?
Willing to do what I can, but I obviously don't know what accounts, if more checks to be written, I can't write checks. I don't know what account they come out of, I don't know where the checks are.
Right.
Don't know what the bills are, I don't know any of the accounting. If
So
there's
this
checks,
is for us to
if
get rid
there's
of.
checks that are currently written in there,
Get them
we can sign them if they're not signed.
Well, I think you guys already signed them on it.
We did, I mean, if there were some more after, I don't
Right.
think, she hasn't been there since that meeting, so it wouldn't, shouldn't be any, but.
By next month, it'll be 3 months behind.
Does
That's
somebody
why I'm
know where they
starting
are?
calls, because we're hitting the 90
Probably
days.
right there on her desk.
And they've all the suppliers have heard what's going on, so they're calling me saying, hey, we're going to pay.
It shouldn't be 90
Voted
days,
out
so we're
last
only
month.
30 days in.
Well, it's a month to go before, he's checking from the month before.
Can one of you two let us in sometime so we can find the checks and try to get them?
He's got a key.
You've got keys, David?
Yes, I have
Are you gonna
keys.
be in Canton office any this week?
I can be.
Sometime, so that Trey
Let me know. Give me
get
a
in
call and I
somehow?
can arrange it.
Is
I know it
that
sounds
okay?
little, but make sure you're counting the stamps and everything, so nothing's.
That's why I just wanna make sure everybody knows, that's why I'm taking, if they're already signed, it only takes one person, but I'd like to have somebody with me.
Yeah.
And she's available during the day.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Just for the, cover our butts.
Roll call to get those bills on the table taken care of. Joe Williams.
Yes.
George Jennings.
Aye.
Brian Coble.
Aye.
Dave Preston.
Guess I can say aye and not have to abstain. Try to check myself. Just so the council knows, even though it's in the middle of the vote, I finish the vote, then I have to say something.
Yeah, I've had some more too also, please.
Deanna?
Yes, I'm fine.
And myself.
It looks like the bank on that we deal with did something that we weren't aware of, which works to our advantage now. But I don't want everybody to know about it, because apparently when we added Joy's name and my name to the signatures account, so we can sign payroll checks, we've also been added to all of the accounts. So we do have the legal right now
To get to them other.
to get to all the accounts, but we're not touching nothing.
When
It takes
was that
two accounts,
acquired?
it takes two signatures. Pardon?
When was that acquired?
I don't know, I just went in to make sure that I could sign the payroll checks is what I went in for. And it looks like you're okay on all the accounts. It was before last month, because I didn't go in until after last meeting. And we aren't doing anything, we have no checks, I want everybody to know that, covering my butt.
I think when I was on, it was just because George wasn't signing checks that they.
That's when they added Joy, but I don't know when, if I.
Yeah, it was probably that same time.
Then they were all added to everybody, I'm assuming, but I don't know that, but I did find that out. But we're not, we don't like each other, so we're not gonna be together and sign. Just let anybody know.
Yep, thank you.
And I just assume we take it off of those accounts, but right now, maybe we should be on there so that we can move some money if we have to. But we ain't gonna do it without anybody's permission.
Mr. Rolls.
Okay, also, I need council to try to figure out what we're gonna do about the grants out there. The one grant, I'm supposed to get, and I won't get notice, but the notice was supposed to come in for sometime in this month for my new truck. And this is quite an extensive grant. This is a big one.
Are you saying the award of the grant?
If we're
You
going to be
expect to
awarded
be
it
here, okay.
in September. Now, this grant is quite large. It's enough money to cover a lot of stuff for us. If we don't get awarded this grant, and you must understand, it takes a year from the time that I'm told to go ahead and order the chassis to the time my truck is finished. That's a year process. And your times are December and March. That's when you order chassis. And then it's usually 5 to 6 months after that your chassis shows up to where it's being built on it. So you need to understand.
Hold on, please.
Yeah.
So these grants are out there and we have to figure out, because if we don't follow through with this stuff, we're gonna lose all these grants, then we're gonna be in a mess. Because we don't have enough money, I'm sure, in the general funds or anywhere close to buy a new truck. As far as that goes, because the one we have priced out is $285,000 on it. So I also need, I gotta have a new box for the other truck. That's scheduled for next year too, but that's 23,000 and some. So, and and a highway project, the blacktop project. That's 258,000 to 496,000, depending on which route you guys want to go. These are all things that concern me right now, because if we don't get the bids out, the road's going to start another year. Because you only have a certain time period, and you usually put the bids out in February. And once they go out in February, that's when we get the better blacktop prices and everything, and then it goes, everything goes smoothly. If we don't get them in by February, you won't see the road for next year. So these are just things I need.
Budget problem too, we have to work on.
It's just these things I need help with, or you guys have to understand what position I'm in. Right now, is trying to get this stuff figured out, what I'm supposed to do next. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson.
I have a question, if I could,
Go ahead.
for Mr. Wilson.
Well, Brian, what did you have? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to ask Mr. Wilson if any of that information that you just talked about, grants, all this, was that all on bullet points on the last street committee agenda?
Some
so
of it,
council or the committee could follow up on that?
some of it was, but this committee meeting I was supposed to have for this one, because of circumstances, it couldn't be held. So everything was going to be on this one, so it could be put on the agenda, but unfortunately I couldn't have the meeting. Now, my committee will whenever they decide to do the meeting, whenever it works out for everybody, they will have all the information, of everything, given to
So
them.
if that information was discussed previously, wouldn't that borough business stay on the agenda until it's been addressed? So that should just carried over as old business onto the new street committee agenda, because I was taken off the committee, right? And someone else was put it on. So if they didn't have that information, how could they present a report to council from the street committee if they weren't given that information to follow up on?
They were given, and I don't know how far back it was, but you were given the information on the big grants for the trucks and the street trees and all that stuff was brought up in a previous meeting. I can't tell you when, but I do know it was, and I know that definitely the grant was. For, again, I don't know when, but the grant, I
That's
think
fair,
was,
thank you. I just would like to ask if we could please get a copy of the most current street committee agenda, so council as a whole can look at it and see how many of these things are listed on that agenda. So
you're not getting
we're
it.
just
I
finding
didn't-
out about it now.
No,
I think
Brian,
that's all I want to know is what we know and what we didn't know.
Brian,
Thank you, sir.
they don't have anything yet because I didn't have the meeting before this meeting. I've just told you that they're gonna get all this information whenever we schedule a meeting for the following meeting, because it all involves budget, which we haven't even discussed yet, okay?
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Yeah.
I think some of that stuff was discussed when I was on the committee, but like I said, it never got carried over to the agendas.
I just wanted to ask about up by the ramp on Union Street, by the Church of Christ. I know a meeting ago or so, somebody asked about the dip in the road. You may have brought it up, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that was taken care of.
Was it?
It's all blacktop in.
It's a pretty good bump
Yeah.
there. I drove over
Turning
it
it back
yesterday.
again.
The manhole, unfortunately, the manhole that's in there sits above the road. So it was tapered up to it, so when you hit it, it feels like you're hitting on there. So, I can look at it and see if I can cut it out more, but there is a sinkhole or problem there around that manhole. I don't know what it is about digging up the road again and getting into that.
That, around the sewer line? Around the sewer manhole?
Yeah.
That really shouldn't be our problem. That needs to be addressed with Lee and them.
Right.
So you need to address that with them.
Okay, thank you.
We're not gonna have anything for recreation, I'm sorry. Mr. Neely covered some. We had talks with people, started drawings, for the pool. So recreation will be carried over until next month. Code, I don't see Mr. Rod here.
No, I haven't talked to Rob, for Tom.
I got something on that. Trent, did you get a hold of him on that place we was at the other day?
I did.
Okay.
You guys have your contract on yet, chief?
Deanna should have the contract.
Okay.
It was approved at our last month's board meeting.
Okay.
Like I said, it's a little over $1,000 increase for the borough.
For the year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
44 calls for the month, last month. Bingo starts up Wednesday.
You make sure everybody gets copies of that.
And once we get our trial bounce done, because our fire year goes to the end of September, that's the only thing we're required to give you.
Okay. It doesn't have to be tonight, but way before the next meeting, so everybody's got a chance to look at it. And that may not get approved until closer to the end of the year when we do the budget. We don't know, but hopefully I'll have it on for next month. Brett, amen.
I just got a pipeline dinner at White Sox, the 23rd, it'll be that Saturday or Wednesday. That's all that's going on right now.
All right, thank you. Mr. Coble, you wanted web design on the agenda?
Yeah, I sent an email to everyone. Did you get your attachment, Mike?
Yes, and I looked at it briefly.
Okay, well, good. So I shared that information with everybody, the attachment. I've spent quite a bit of time on them, drafting something to at least get this under motion. But again, the web design program features a WordPress website, very easily managed. We get a lot of discount fees because we're PSAB Plus members. We get a 20% discount, and we used up most of a $700 credit that was also applied as part of the training and stuff. And there's just a lot of information. It would take a very long time for me to review all of that with each person. Now, I did present everyone with the same information I got, and suggested that you call the sales rep with any questions or concerns, because obviously she probably could answer your questions better. So at this point, I would just say, we got a quote. It's what was it, 1,000? Now, I'm not sure. I don't have a paper here in front of me.
It was 1,000.
$1,045.25. It's just, but in my opinion, only my opinion, I just feel having a presence on the web is of utmost importance. I think it would be a great way for us to sell our community. It would be a great place to get these complaint forms on there, advertise for police positions or any employment opportunities. Just share information about our community and try to, get the word out. And so people know about community events or upcoming things, and just have a resource on the web. I think it has a lot of potential. I truly believe that. And it's a small price to pay. I think if you were to get a comparable quote, I think it would probably be a little bit more, to be honest with you.
Brian, I think you had told me that there was a couple of different contracts that you were able to see through PSAB. Do you think this was the best?
If I did tell you that, then I misspoke.
Okay. All right.
What happens, Dave, is Course Vector is affiliated with PSAB.
Yeah.
And Course Vector is a company that develops these websites. If you went to PSAB and read the information about them, they would link you to a page would take you to Course Vector.
Okay.
Once you got to Course Vector, you can view sample pages of multiple municipalities and kind of see what you like, what you don't like, what you would like to see on your webpage. And I told them, here's the thing. We just want to start with something very basic.
Okay. So this is
very basic.
Right.
Have a calendar on there, maybe some drop-down menus on the side where we can post our agenda, share our minutes, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And we could build off of that.
Right.
But again, I think someone that probably has used that software would say it's very user-friendly, and we do get a 1-hour training that would be to develop our web page. And like I said, I can't go over this page by page for you, but to create a new web design, redesign it, get everyone's input. So again, take a look at their website, read over the information I sent to everybody, call them yourself, and get the answers to your questions from them. They'd be more than glad to talk to you. I can guarantee you that.
Brian, have we got quotes from like our local IT, our IT here, Chris Boggs, and maybe, what's her name, Tammy Bethune, that
Doesn't do it anymore.
Oh, she doesn't do it anymore?
That's what I'm told. I may be wrong. Can do one for $200.
To answer your question, Mr. Mayor,
Can do one for $200.
no, I think at the last council meeting, I did say, I didn't want to overstep my grounds. I asked council as a whole if it was all right if I contacted this web design company, because there were some issues that we were told with liability and stuff, and that's the one council agreed for me to contact. But if you'd like me to contact other people, and you would like to make a motion and tell me that, and provide me with the contact information, I would do that, sir, yes.
I don't think I can make a motion, but,
Okay.
I would appreciate it if you would try to spend the money local.
I would gladly like you to get a quote. I mean, like I said, I spent a lot of time and resources on this, and I challenge you to see what you like and don't like about it, and come back at the next council meeting and provide that to me, or call them and tell them what you don't like about it, because they probably can fix it.
Well, like I said, Brian, I'm just trying to keep our money here in town. Chris Boggs does our IT here.
I think there might have been a quote in progress for that. I don't know. I can get a hold of them and ask.
Okay.
Yep, that's fair. Like I said, I didn't contact anyone. No one directed me to do it. I was leaning that maybe I may be overstepping my.
All right, Brian, you got us good information well
council
before.
member to even look into this, because I know there was a lot of pushback saying that they when I referenced it before, manager Sealy advised, there were some issues, liability, and having someone else manage our website was one of the things she quoted, I believe. But I sent them and said, listen, these are some concerns. And they said, no. The thing is, you want to have probably one person, maybe two, that would have to log in and make any amendments or changes to the website. You don't want every council member having access to it. So, like I said, I think some people are familiar with that type of software and could use it.
Yep.
It's just an idea.
Yeah.
That was something I brought up. I felt I do what I say what I do. I followed up with them, provided you all with the information, and what you want to do with it, it's up to you. Again, I'm holding one vote. If you like it, that's fine. If not, then I can check it off my list of things to do. One less thing I have to worry about.
I can say that the WordPress that apparently is what they use for their program. I work with 2 websites on that WordPress, so it is very user friendly and perfectly well.
Thank you. Anything else on that, Brian?
Not at this time, sir.
Thank you, sir. So currently we have a vacant council seat that Mr. Neely left. We got one letter that came in the mail, and from Order Lounge, which I assume will be Jim McDonald. I haven't read any of these yet. So, did you only make one copy?
I have another one here.
What's that?
I have another one here.
That's fine, we'll just pass this around. Or and he also has a list here of a bunch of names. I assume that this is probably from like an online petition or something.
Change.org.
I don't know if those can be verified or not, but it's, we'll hear statements and ask some questions and go from there. If anybody wants to see that, you can. So, I know the ad read that we were to accept only applications by mail. I mean, we got 2 other ones in here from Sean Packard and David Neely. David, I know you asked me a question at the end about getting, I don't remember how I answered you. I truly don't. They were supposed to be in by mail. I know we had some discussion. I honestly, to God, don't remember what I said. So I will, if council wants to entertain the other 2, that is up to them. When that letter comes back around and talk to Mr. McDonald, or if you guys want to talk about what's to do with the other 2.
I believe the ad did say it had to be received by mail and give a date. A U.S. Post Office and USPS.
It did. I didn't know.
Did you say someone did mail one in?
Yeah, we've got one mailed in from Jim McDonald.
And did you make copies of that and present it to every council member?
No, I got it right before the meeting. I don't have access to a copier.
What was the mail date? What was the postmark? You just come today?
No, I haven't been here, Brian. I have not been to the Borough Hall. I have not gotten any mail. It was postmarked August 27th.
August 27th? Okay. I just wondered why you would say, the council as a whole shall get copies of documents if it went out the 27th.
Yeah, I know you were going to say that. Thank you. I just got it, Brian. And I don't have access to a
We all
copier.
got to be on the same page, rules for thee and not for me, right?
Right, this is not something I prepared before the meeting to give to everybody. It's something that came from somebody from the public that I just got when I walked in the door.
That's fine, sir. I tried to address that at the last meeting, but no one wanted to vote. We had 3 of the same candidates sitting right in that chairs, and we could have taken care of this, but no.
Yep.
That wasn't a good idea either. So I'm just asking you to, share the same observation you did on me.
Thank you.
You bet.
Jim McDonald, what do you got?
Yes. So, as a resident of Canton Borough and property owner for 31 years, business owner for 26 years, I'm out and about with the public, see them every day. And it baffles me the amount of people that stop me to complain about the borough. Once in a while, I hear something positive about the borough, but the last 10 years, there's been no positive influence in the borough to bring people in here or keep people here. So for that, so many people have asked me to run to be on the board. In the past, I wasn't qualified to be on the board because prior years, owning a liquor license stopped me from holding a seat on the board. I contacted the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board Legal's office, and I have a written letter from them and a legal opinion that I can hold the office of borough council or borough mayor if I choose to. So for that reason, I decided to go ahead and throw my hat in the ring and see what I can do to help rebuild the borough to where it was 30 years ago. Because where it is today is nothing like it was in the past. So that's my goal.
Thank you, Jim.
Anybody ask a question?
Does council have any questions?
I have a quick question. Just, I'm interested. You couldn't run before because you have a liquor license? Was that the
Right,
law or
the
that's what you were
liquor-
told?
On the PA liquor code.
So the law's been changed?
Right.
Okay.
The liquor code. It's not a law, it's a
Well,
liquor code.
okay, the code has been
So
changed.
the code had been changed.
Okay, that's all.
And so I wrote to the legal office of the Liquor Control Board.
I can understand
They
that.
confirmed that, and
I just wasn't aware that you couldn't at one time.
right,
that's all.
at one time, the only position I could run for was school board. But
Let's see, you can't be on.
That
makes no sense.
Exactly. Can't go borough.
You're being drug school.
Just checking.
But I do have that letter with the legal opinion.
The code's been changed is why you're available now.
Right.
Not the only reason, but.
You know?
Anybody else at the table have any questions for Mr. McDonald? Brian, do you have any questions for him?
No, I do not, thank you.
And before we move forward, I will let the rest of council decide whether or not that they want to uphold the ad that was put in the paper, if they want to accept letter by mail.
I mean, if we do, I mean, it's pretty obvious who's gonna get the seat, and I absolutely have nothing against Jim at all. He walks the town all the time, but I just think that, you know, Dave contacted me and wanted to know what to do with him, and I said, I was supposed to meet him here that night, and I had to run to Mansfield. And I just think we need to accept those two letters to, you know, to be more comfortable and have somebody else run it. So that's my opinion.
Is there a second for that?
Is that a motion, George? You're making a motion to
Yes.
accept? Yeah, I'll second George's motion. I think it was just an oversight. It seems like we've been having a lot of oversights. Been nice to get a secretary in there to help us alleviate some of these boo-boos and have the ability to come in the office and make a copy or whatever the case may be.
I think that was the same ad we've run in the past.
Yeah.
It's not because we wouldn't have had to turn them in by hand last time. We turned them in by hand last time, just a month
You
ago.
could, yeah, but because there was nobody that was gonna be here in the office to take it.
No, she was here. It was Pete and
I
I.
meant this time.
No, this time.
I am talking this time, not going back.
But do we have access to the drop box outside?
Probably not, but I don't have an answer for you.
Okay, because I used to always put my right to know requests and
Yep.
stuff in the Dropbox. Then I'd come to a meeting and they weren't on there, and she'd say, "Oh, it got hung up in the Dropbox." So I didn't know maybe if we got hung up in the Dropbox or something.
So you did second that, or you did, Aaron.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any comments on? So I think, you know, we set it out that they had to be mailed in. I know both of you stated last month at the meeting that you were interested, so I appreciate that, and I will have a vote. Joy?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Was that an aye then, George?
Yes.
George Jennings?
Does that accept the letter?
They accept the two.
Aye.
Brian Cole?
Aye.
Dave Preston?
I'm sorry, I'm a stickler. I think that the rules were made like for a reason. I don't know what it was. I don't like to change, so no.
Deanna?
Aye.
Yeah, so I'm torn. I know what we put out. I know you guys both expressed interest last month and other avenues. And I don't think the oversight was on our part as a whole. However, it's going to be 4 to whatever. Aye. So we have a letter from both Sean Packard and David Atherton.
Any public speak?
After everybody's done maybe, but seeing how Mr. McDonald's already started, I think it'd be best to wait till the end.
End of voting?
I think he means the end of them speaking and questioning, right? Before the vote.
Yeah, let's just put it in.
Do we need to verify residence, or does it matter, or I don't know how that works.
I
have to be a resident for a certain number.
Well, both of those ran for
Yeah, but I
her
didn't know
spot,
the
and it
answer
was
to
very,
that.
I'm pretty sure it was very.
Did you run, Dave, you ran for election, right?
I did not run for election. I turned in a letter of
One prior.
interest for this body.
Yeah, so Deanna.
Sean, you did as well, right?
Right, yeah. I went to the election board and she got appointed. I was at work that night.
Yeah, I remember you were, yeah.
Yeah, I don't cancel meetings for work.
Alright, Mr. Packard, you can go ahead and speak.
Yeah, I'm gonna rescind my letter, Mr. Schultz, and, give my support to Mr. McDonald.
You sure?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Mr. Atherton,
My name is Dave Atherton. I've lived in the Canton area most of my life. I was a former township supervisor for Leroy for, I think it was 6 years. And have left Leroy and now live in the borough. And I just want to help if I can, and any way you vote is good with me. I'm okay either way. I just wanted everybody to have options, and if elected, then I'd like
appointed. It'll be appointed.
I'm sorry.
That's
yes.
fine.
Appointed. I'm transparent and willing to do what I can do to help.
Does the board have any questions for Mr. Atherton? And then, do you want me to put 2 names on a piece of paper, turn them upside down, blindfold to vote, or do you just want to go in the order that we talked to them?
In order to talk to them, that's the way we've done it in the past.
Is everybody good with that?
The blind pool last time, I don't know. I don't know I've ever done it. I don't care. I like the blind. I would have been not prejudicial, but it's up to you. Doesn't matter either way. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Do we have somebody to swear him in? I mean, do we have the form or whatever? The oath, all that stuff?
You can, if whoever does get appointed, you can go see Mr. Wilcox, because I don't have the form here.
So we can't swear him in tonight then, right?
answer.
What does the financial statement be turned into the courthouse?
No, it gets turned in, would be the borough manager. Do you have it with you?
I have it
with
in
you
the
tonight?
office. It's completed.
Do you know, Jerry, what we do?
I would just mail it to attention of the borough council.
Well, I think Judge Walker's big.
And then we'll take everything
So we
and
seat them tonight.
make sure
Yeah.
that whenever a manager takes a seat again, that it gets filed in the correct.
I do not have that information with me.
As long as they get sworn in.
I don't know what swearing in is. Verbiage is.
No, I don't have the forms that are in there.
So I'll recommend whoever does go see Mr. Wilcox in Troy, I would call. I know he works Monday through Friday. But just call and make sure that he's there before you enter. So, but blind draw or just order that we talk to him?
I just see the order we talked to them in.
I prefer blind draw, but I don't care if it's.
You don't have a preference?
Do blind draw.
Somebody got a hat?
We can read through it.
Well, then give it back.
There were two of them that really didn't matter. So when you said go to Mr. Wilcox, I'm so confused. Are we gonna be able to seat this person tonight?
No, they have to be sworn in first. Pretty sure. correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we don't have the.
They have to provide their financial.
The
documents
privilege
as
to the
well.
oath, just be sworn in. Because her employee is not available.
One for each, right?
What?
Yeah.
Oh, which one of you two want to help with this? Mr. Van Laer? Bigler? Huh?
He does.
Perfect.
You have to walk all the way around there.
Pass that down to
Mr.
Mr. President or Mayor, you can take it. Hold it above his head, and close your eyes, reach in there and pull a name out. Yep, just open it up, read it out loud.
Jim McConnell.
Jim McDonald. So Jim McDonald was pulled first.
Who's gonna be gone second?
Roll call.
Well, wait a second, we need a motion.
Sorry.
I'll make the motion, we accept Jim McDonald on council to fill the seat of Mr. Brett Neely.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Roll call, Joy Williams.
No.
George Jennings.
Aye.
Ryan Cole.
Nay.
David Preston.
Hi. I've voted with you a long time.
Yeah. Deanna Watkins.
No.
Myself, no. 3, the noes have it, 4-2. I would need a motion to seat Dave after Neely.
I'll make the motion.
Dave Preston,
I'll second the motion.
Brian Koval. Any roll call? Joy Williams.
Yeah.
George Jennings. Nay. Ryan Koval.
Aye.
David Preston.
No. Can't believe it.
Deanna.
Yes.
Aye. For myself. 1, 2, 3, 4. Dave Neely, 4-2. Four votes for A, 2 for nay. There's some forms you gotta fill out. I can't remember all off the top of my head. Ethics form, residency form. I don't know where to take you right now. Good luck to you. See Mr. Wilcox.
He'll have all that information, right, for everything? Koval seconded.
Brian Koval seconded it.
You'll have to do an affidavit of residency and eligibility to vote.
Mr. Brand, solicitor's report.
I really don't have anything for
You are able to vote.
Thank you.
Sign it.
Mayor, any comments?
Yes, well, I just, one question, maybe Watkins can help us out here. The homecoming parade is coming up shortly. Normally, the school initiates the permit paperwork, and it goes through the borough office. Do you know if the school has acquired a permit for the parade yet?
I believe they have, but I don't work in that office, so I couldn't tell you for sure.
Okay.
And I know there's some of these things we get ahead on because it's usually the same route. I don't remember seeing this come up. Anybody else?
It was on the agenda.
It's always been on the agenda.
I need to write about it.
I feel like we did discuss it at one point, and I feel like they did say it had been approved, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
So whether it's the application for the growth goes used by the time, apply for, I don't know.
So yeah, we need a permit to be on state roads.
Right.
The school does.
Yeah.
We just
we do
just
want
need
to
to
Halloween
for the
Well, we approved them, but were the permits ever applied for?
I thought we approved the application already set.
it's got to go to, well, it depends on what roads they're doing. If they're just staying on borough roads, I don't think they have to go through the state.
No, because that's what we
But if
did
they're
with
crossing,
COVID.
if they're on state roads, 414, they've got to apply for.
I know there was discussion about which parade route they were taking for homecoming. So most likely going without permit, but.
So it'll be probably the same, like your graduation one, that must be.
I'm gonna guess that, but I would have to ask and I can get back to you.
All right.
Also, the homecoming, or the Halloween parade, I think Mr. Preston also, is that something, is that in the works, I guess? Yeah.
You'd have to contact the chamber.
That's what I thought, the chamber handles
Well,
that, right?
no, the chamber handles the parade, but the borough secretary gets the permit. The borough.
But I would talk to Eric, see where they're at.
Okay, thank you.
That's it.
Are you gonna address any of the stuff that you were asked about police department, or are you just gonna let that go?
Well, I thought I did. We talked about the young guys.
No, about like Doug not being down at the school zone and stuff like that.
Well, Doug is he's on vacation right now. He's here on his own time.
I'm just saying, I have a trespassing order that I asked for, he removed it. From somebody who's very dangerous. I'm still getting threatened. And it's not specifically me, it's my wife. If I have to take it into my own hands, it's gonna be an issue.
Well, if it's an emergency, dial 911.
For what? You don't answer. Nobody here answers.
911 is Wanda.
I mean, is this not 911 as well? I mean, we
No,
pay him.
911 goes to Wanda. If it's an emergency situation or you feel it's an emergency, dial 911. They'll dispatch the proper people.
State police.
So 6+ weeks of him knowing and nothing being done is just not gonna be resolved. I need to go to a different police department. Other than our borough.
If you feel it's an emergency, then dial 911.
That doesn't answer my question.
Can I just get your name?
Joshua Hartford.
I'm sorry, Hartford?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, if you feel it's an emergency and this person's that much of a threat.
I just want to know why he don't know the trespassing order. That's all I want to know.
Yeah. That, I don't know. I can't tell you that.
Well, I mean, this is something you can look into, correct?
Yes, it is. And I will
love
adopt,
that,
and
please.
the next time I see you, I'll have an answer for you.
Thank you.
All right?
Anything else, Mayor?
If the chief's on vacation, why is the police car parked at his house?
It's probably owned by him.
He's not responding to calls or anything, so why should the police car not be parked on borough property? So if damage is, I'm sure insurance would cover any damage on borough property, but is insurance gonna cover damage to a borough vehicle that's parked on his private property?
I've said that for years, but
If he's on vacation, that vehicle doesn't need to be there, and he doesn't need to be driving the vehicle back and forth to work using taxpayer money for gas rather than him drive his own vehicle.
Well, he's driving his white car.
Then why is the police car over at his house? Simple question.
Okay, I don't know. I'm amazed that such a petty thing is.
No,
such
it's taxpayer money that he's utilizing in fuel.
Well,
You're okay with that.
He's not using it now, it's just sitting there.
So when he comes to work, he drives the borough vehicle to and from work.
Right, yeah, that's a perk of the chief. When he retires, the next chief, I'm sure, will do the same thing.
So why are the borough residents paying the fuel for him to go back and forth to work?
Like I said, when he retires, I'm sure the next chief will do the same
Well,
thing.
I'm sure you can change that policy today.
We can't today, Jim.
Why, yeah.
Well, then bring it up at the next board and do something about it. But as a taxpayer, I shouldn't have to pay for him to enjoy taxpayer money to transport him back and forth to work every day.
go to the Acorn.
All right.
Do his grocery shop, whatever.
Anything else, Mayor?
We're talking about taxpayer money here.
Thank you, Jim.
You goes to Troy with it.
Junior counsel, do you have anything?
Driving down Railroad Street.
So we're gonna have a brief executive session. Part of this was intended to catch up whoever was coming in. Unfortunately, because you're not sworn in yet, Dave, I don't think we can include you.
That's fine, I'll get that stuff
When
turned
you
in
get
and
it,
taken care of as fast as I can.
I think we will be having another session here coming out shortly. Can you leave name, phone number, and email?
Yep.
I do not expect anything to come out of this executive session tonight, no actions. Oh, actually, is it? Yeah.
You could write it on that.
What's the executive session?
Personnel litigation.
Okay. Is a lawsuit already initiated?
I can't answer that right now.
Yes, you can.
I can't, because I don't know.
Oh,
Well, Attorney Brand can answer that, then.
I'm not aware of anything.
Okay, that's what needed to be answered.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. The three of you, thank you for your
President
interest.
Schultz,
Oh, go ahead,
I
Brian.
have a question for the go to the order. Was resolution number 2024-8 Canton Borough public complaint procedures on our agenda tonight? It was on our previous agenda, but I didn't know if it got carried over.
No,
No, it didn't, Brian.
it was not.
It was not.
No,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
I just was looking at an old agenda. I wasn't sure. So
Okay. All right. So,
Mike, just real quick, I'm sorry, but is there somebody that's answering or checking emails, checking the mail and so on, one of the council people in here doing this stuff to be able to reply? Dave has
There's
questions
some-
about, emails for grants and so on. Somebody, you have every right to be in there checking the emails for this place, and somebody should be.
That's part of the discussions that we're having.
Okay, well, I think this is a relatively new council. I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned here, that you're putting too damn much power in one person's hand, and you don't know what's going on. I mean, the mayor can't produce even a simple paper to read to swear somebody in. I've been a volunteer. I understand it's volunteer, and I've been on school board. I've been a volunteer fire chief, but I had a whole lot of work to do that I stepped up and did when I had to do it. So this isn't just something for your ego or to boost your business or whatever it might be, sitting on a council, being elected here. Do the job. There's a job to be done. Follow up and know what's going on, rather than just relying on somebody to tell you each month, this is what you need to vote on and get it done. I mean, come on. It's time. You have the chance to start over right now. It's a relatively new council. Do it.
Thank you, Chief. So we're gonna go into executive session. Mr. Appineely, leave that information, please. Like I said, I don't expect any action to come.
And we will not be returning, correct?
What's that?
We are not.
I'll have to come back out to adjourn the meeting, but I don't think there'll be anything. If you want me to adjourn it now, I can, but I don't.
If you're certain that nothing's gonna be coming up, I would say adjourn it now. So you're not adjourning? I'll wait around.
Just hold on a second, Walt. I'm trying to wait, make sure that this guy leaves.
Yeah, the whole name just lowercase.
Okay, I was just sure.
Yeah, everything's there, just not.
Thank you for your input.
Kids are gonna be starting around Melbourne. They won't be picking up in Borough, so you guys will see the truck passing
You're
through.
cleaning over here.
Yeah. Township. If you guys want.
Well, meeting is adjourned.
Stay in touch.
Thank you.